Buju, Wape Anakwatun, Kwe Kapit, Nidijnakas, Ni Gig Dodem, Zakme Nishnabek Nadunjaba. Good evening, Zakme, Little Bone, She Sheep, and Minoachuk members. I'd like to, first of all, thank our beautiful elder for the prayer and opening us up in a good way. I'd like to thank my nominator, Gilbert Panapakizik, and seconder, Misty Smoker. And I'd like to introduce myself to our community. My name is Sarah Rain, and I come from the Rainville family. My chapons were Marvin Rainville and Evelyn Delorme. My cookum was Marlene Bubbles Rainville, and my mother was Sonia McKay, who passed away at 30 years old in Vancouver. My chapon delivered babies in Cowassis, and it too is my vision to come deliver life within our nation as well. I was born in Vancouver, BC, and I was blessed to spend a few hours with my mother. I was told my cookum, who worked in the hospital, snuck in the room to hold me, and I still feel her arms around me to this day. For the next 18 years, I'd be void of that kinship and nurturing. I'm a survivor of the 60s scoop. When I found my family through Facebook in 2008, I began a powerful journey of reclamation. I began the slow, arduous journey of return. And let me tell you, it hasn't always been easy. I found out where I came from, and I found out I was Soto. I had none of that in my upbringing. I was labeled as a Heinz 57 growing up. My indigeneity was never acknowledged. The following year, before our chief was elected chief, she helped me reconnect to Zakame, and my status was reinstated, Shimigwech chief. In 2010, I'll never forget the joy of being at a band meeting for the first time in Vancouver. It was the first time connecting with our kin, and how much joy it brought me. I felt like I had belonging. I was able to come back to these lands, and I was able to spend time in Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 learning and relearning our ways and what it means to be a Anishinaabe. I was hungry for knowledge and to be re-sewn into the tapestry of our nation. Quick funny story, when I first reclaimed knowledge and was really hungry for it, I spent a summer reading all 4,000 pages of the RCAP report because I wanted to know the experience of our people. As I began to reclaim my identity, I started to understand our responsibilities, which are our inherent rights. Reclaiming looked like reconnecting with kinship, meeting members, working with residential school survivors, and confronting the abuse that I endured for much of the first 18 years of my life. I was able to fast for my name in 140-year-old Sundance grounds. I was able to get well. I sought therapy and healing, and I began to uproot the shame that the Munyal world placed on me. The scoop harmed me in many ways, and we all have an understanding of the intergenerational harms, the addiction, the broken family systems, the racism, the sexual abuse, and the shame. And I'm here to say, Zakame and Anishinaabe, together we can heal. We can provide a healthy present and future for the children yet to come. Healing belongs to the children. I graduated from Simon Fraser University with a BA in Indigenous Studies. I studied pedagogy and colonialism, and I understand how these systems work. I understand the chokehold of the Indian Act and how colonialism and Western politics picks at the wounds of our people. I received life coach facilitation training, and I hope to utilize these skills in our community. In my experience, I have dedicated my work to Indigenous peoples and communities. I have traveled all across the country working with community members, elders, and youth. I have worked with residential school survivors and supporting them in the independent assessment process. I was there to listen and to work on the files. I began to learn and carry their stories of survival. I worked for the Native Women's Association of Canada in the environmental unit, developing national surveys, looking at the barriers to disaster preparedness among Indigenous women, Two-Spirit, and gender diverse community members. I became a senior advisor at the Canadian Red Cross for disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. I worked on a national project with partners such as Public Safety Canada and major universities. I helped develop a national toolkit for Indigenous youth in disaster preparedness. We partnered with Lego and we did risk mapping. And we had many much needed conversations around safety, evacuation, and preparedness. I was able to host talking circles in Newfoundland and Ottawa. I have experience in research and policy. I love to gain new knowledge. I was an analyst in Canada's largest Indigenous consulting firm. I managed 4 large files and worked primarily with Saulteaux and Cree communities up north in BC and Alberta. I worked on traditional land use studies and mapping and helped write environmental impact assessments, which create documents which are used in court to defend their treaty rights. The most important part of that work to me was to sit with the old people and hear their knowledge of land and environmental degradation. Stewardship is very important to me. I currently sit as a director on the Zagame Cannabis Board, where I help support the oversight of safety and regulations as mandated by you, the community. Each job that I've held has given me new tools and insight, and I'm eager to bring these skills home to our nation. And my vision, I don't believe in making campaign promises. I believe in uplifting our nationhood. I believe in good work ethic. I believe in transparency and accountability, especially to the one who breathed life into us, our Creator, and the people we serve, Zagame Anishinaabe. In my education, I would like to see a student needs assessment and develop a fair needs-based funding model. We need to look at the locations where students live to take into consideration high rental costs, increased food and transportation prices. I would like to see an increase of funding for students from our own source revenue and to top off the funding levels. Students should not be worried about their next meal while they study for exams. When I was a student, I was using the food bank. As a single mom, that was very difficult, and I remember crying a lot. I also incurred large student debt, which I'm beginning to pay down. We should be a nation that encourages youth for higher learning. No student should be turned away. We have 1,000 members who are under the age of 18, and their future and education matters. When I was 21 years old, I came to the nation for the very first time, and it was so incredibly special to be on our homelands, to feel that energy from the earth. The earth came and welcomed me. I didn't have very much knowledge of our treaty right to education when I came home. I didn't even know funding existed. I didn't know that, I could be funded for university. And when I spoke to someone in administration with excitement and hope of being possibly funded, and I told them I'd love to come home one day and serve our community with my degree, and they said, "Ha, that will never happen." I still remember how it felt, and I don't want another young person to feel that way. Let's not kill the dreams of our young people. Let's cheer them on and give them the tools to succeed in post-secondary and after, by providing employment for our graduates who choose to come home and work for our nation. Zagame funded my degree. I thank you, Zagame. I'm in debt to you, so I desire to give back. Wellness. I acknowledge the pain and grief within our nation, as well as the hope and resilience that exists. I'd like to see Zagame staff equipped with training in emotional intelligence, regulation, and conflict resolution. I want to bring in somatic therapists, which help you reconnect to your body after trauma. It's a powerful tool, a tool that I have been in the last 2 years with my therapist, and it has helped me heal from sexual assault. Do you remember when we gathered in the summer of 2021? Our neighbors in Cowessess just marked the graves, and our community sat together for 6 hours in a healing circle. We shared what was on our hearts and minds, and we cried together, and we held our grief and memory as a collective. I believe we need spaces to heal, which may look like annual community-wide talking circles, art therapy, and a community smudge walk within our community. We need to honor our two-spirit and give a day of honor. And to our LGBTQ community members, you are loved and you are valued. I've had the opportunity to sit with our matriarchs, and their vision is to see a healing center. Let's make it happen. We must pursue Bimatsawin as a collective. It's time we come together. Let's take these wounds and turn it into good medicine. I believe in stewardship and protecting our lands, but also being courageous and seeking opportunities that bring our people into economic security. We have Westlands and Eastlands that are being made ready for large developments. It's time to build homes and businesses. For urban membership, growing up off reserve.
Time is up.
Thank you very much. I have some more, but I send you love.